entire nation is calling it the second liberation. Even in 1971, we were not tortured the way Hasina tortured us for last 17 years. Can you believe that leader, the main leader of the ruling regime, had to flee from the country? I hope and I expect that India will, they will respect our people's feeling. They will respect our people's emotion. Do you know, in last 15 years, how many people died on streets because they were in peaceful protest against Hasina? Do you know, in last 15 years, how many people were abducted? How many people were tortured in the police custody? How many people had to flee from the country, leaving their family behind? The students came on road very peacefully. Then the Secretary General of Hasina's party said, shoot at sight, and our student wing is enough to deal with the students. It is her fault. It is her arrogance. She thought that she had the biggest strength beside her, and that is India. The people's perception that Hasina could manage to be in power for last 15 years because of India's strong support. These are not very good news for India. I think this is time for India to rethink about its foreign policy. She used gun to our students. She used fire to our students. She did not hesitate. She did not think twice to shoot our students. How can you call a boy or a girl Razakar who is only 20 or 21 years old? Isn't it a mockery with the nation? Who's going to allow her to come in politics? People of Bangladesh will not. Maybe she can join in any party in India and do politics there, not in Bangladesh.
Hello and welcome to our weekly talk show, The Interview. Welcome to the show, Rumeen Farhana, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Given that events are overtaking us by the minute, let me begin with the latest development about Muhammad Yunus heading the interim government.
As you can see that it was a revolution of the students and the common people of my country. And it was the students' proposal that Mr. Yunus, who brightened our nation in front of the international community. He's an international figure. As you all know, he's the only Nobel laureate in Bangladesh. So they proposed his name, and I believe that the entire nation is happy with that. Let's see how it goes. And so far, I know he was never involved in politics. He was neither a part of the largest political party in Bangladesh, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. No, he was a part of the last regime, the Awami League. So from that point of view, he is a neutral person, and he made it absolutely clear that he has no interest in politics. He wants to serve the nation. He wants to build the nation.
He had no interest in politics, yet he was victimized and pulled into it twice over. Once, when Sheikh Hasina's government was there and there was a witch hunt against him, and the second time now, when the country demands it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And since it's the country's demand, and he, he's kind enough to assume that responsibility, it's now a matter of time, and probably he will get good advisors around him, and we will get a good, competent board of members who will run the show. Let's see how it goes.
You have called Sheikh Hasina's ouster as the second liberation of Bangladesh.
Yes, I did. I did. In fact, it's not only me. It's the entire nation is calling it the second liberation. Even in 1971, we were not tortured the way Hasina tortured us for last 17 years. There was no freedom of vote. There was no freedom of speech. There was no human rights. I know she conducted three consecutive elections, all sham. People couldn't give vote. It was a mess. It was a mess all over. And recently we came to know that she built a mirror house. We call it Aina Ghar, and many people were taken over there. They were tortured. They were brutally killed. Some of them were there for like many years. So it was a reign of terror. I mean, it was a nightmare actually. Otherwise, can you believe that leader, the main leader of the ruling regime, had to flee from the country? And I got some response from my Indian friends, and they told me that it is unfortunate that she had to be here. I mean, again and again and again, she had to get some support or help, whatever you call, from India. So I mean, they were not also very happy, but what to do.
It was not only about her fleeing from the country, but also, to quote her son Joy, she was not allowed to give her farewell speech.
Absolutely that. She was not allowed to give her farewell speech. But I heard that she applied for the residence in the UK, but they refused that application. Her visa has been rejected in US, so her world is becoming smaller and smaller every day. So I don't know what India government is going to do with her, because as far as I know, that your all-party meeting took place yesterday or day before yesterday. I'm not very sure, and where your leader from the opposition, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, he asked some questions to Mr. Jaishankar, and India made it clear that they are keeping an eye to this.
What do you think, under the circumstances, the Indian government should do? And what do you expect the Indian government to do? Because the UK asylum is stuck because of a technicality. So, what do you think the Indian government should do?
I don't think that it will be very decent to advise Indian government, but I can say what the our nation expect from India. You are our next door neighbor. We always expect friendship and cordiality from you. But unfortunately, we always notice that India put all her eggs in one basket, and that is Awami League, that is Sheikh Hasina. So it is not very healthy for India. It is not very healthy for Bangladesh. It is not very healthy for our bilateral relationship. So I think India will focus on a nation to nation relationship, people to people relationship. And I hope and I expect that India will, um, they will respect our people's feeling. They will respect our people's emotion. And we have many issues, we have border killing, we have water issues and stuff like that. But, leaving those aside, this time we really expect that our next door neighbor will extend its hand of friendship towards the people of Bangladesh, not any particular person, not any particular political party. Because, government will come, government will go. One time this party will be in power, the other time the other party will be in power. But the common people, the citizens will remain the same. So if you really expect a good neighbor beside you, you should act accordingly. I mean, India should respect our feeling, India should respect our emotion. That's all I can say. And we never forget the love and affection that India showed us in 1971. And I believe that from 2024, we will have a new journey.
In other words, as I understand it, and the way I can interpret what you're saying, India should not give refuge to Sheikh Hasina.
Well, it is India's internal matter. It is India's internal political decision. It is India government's decision. I cannot dictate that. But what I can say is India should respect the feeling of 17 crore people of Bangladesh. Because even if India wants, India cannot change its neighbor. Even if Bangladesh wants, it cannot change its neighbor too. India won't be very, very comfortable to have uh, people both sides. I mean, Pakistan in one side and Bangladesh in another side, where the people of both the countries are not very happy with India. So it is not very comfortable situation for India as well.
Unhappiness with India, in other words, and I ask this again, translates into not letting Sheikh Hasina stay here.
It is. It's not my duty to say that. I'm not in a position to dictate anything or advise you, but you have to understand the emotion and feeling of the people of Bangladesh. That far I can tell you.
All right. You also said that this is the time for Bangladesh to celebrate. But let me ask you, celebrations, Farhana, when there is blood on the streets and people are dying?
Do you know in last 15 years how many people died on streets because they were in peaceful protest against Hasina? Do you know in last 15 years how many people were abducted? How many people were tortured in the police custody? How many people had to flee from the country, leaving their family behind? Do you know when someone took asylum in any other country, the family members of that person were brutally tortured in Bangladesh. Do you know? Just because many people they don't agree with what Hasina is doing, they don't support her party, they don't support her attitude of making Bangladesh a one-party state. They have to suffer like anything. They have piles of cases against them, false, fabricated cases against them. I myself have more than 10 cases against me, starting from Begum Zia to every rank and file. Everyone is tortured in last 15 years. So if you calculate that, you will see that why Hasina had to flee after her 15-year long ruling.
So, in other words, what you're saying that it is the politics of eye for an eye being unleashed. And you seem to
You
think
see,
that that's fair.
not at all. Not at all, Kumkum. You see, in last 2 days, there is no government as such in Bangladesh. So in that situation, who knows who is doing this atrocities, who is doing this bloodshedding, who is doing this vandalization? Because in last 15 years, only the government supporters and members of their party, they carry arms, they have instruments at their place, they have money, uh, they have everything. So who knows who's doing what? Because BNP is not in power. No other party is in power. Hasina fled from the country, leaving her own members, in Bangladesh. So who's doing what? We do not know. Who knows? Maybe it is the Awami League goons who is now in Bangladesh. They are doing it so that they can blame BNP or other parties for this.
Who is doing what is what you said. But observers feel that what started as a students' movement is being hijacked or is on the brink of being hijacked by the BNP.
You are telling Hasina's narrative, unfortunately. If you closely observe the situation in Bangladesh in last couple of days, you must notice that initially the protest was very peaceful. At one point of time, Hasina made a command which the students didn't like. The students came on road very peacefully. Then the Secretary General of Hasina's party said, shoot at sight, and our student wing is enough to deal with the students. After that, we have seen how the Awami League, Chhatra League, Yuva League goons, they came on the street and how they treated the students. The students didn't, they didn't take that lightly. So eventually the consequence Hasina had to face. It is her fault. It is her arrogance. It is her over self confidence, and always she thought that she had the biggest strength beside her, and that is India. Unfortunately, I have to tell it because we have seen in 2014 election how the former Foreign Secretary Sujata Singh played her role in Bangladesh election. We have seen in 2018 how the Indian government congratulated Hasina the first chance they got. In 2024, the history repeats. And the foreign minister, Hassan Mahmood, the former foreign minister, Hassan Mahmood, immediately after 2024 election, saying that because of India, we somehow managed to be in power in 2014, 2018, and 2024. And not only that, Hasina visited India twice in 2024 from January to June. And now this is her third term. She is now in India. So when the America talked about democracy, when America talked about freedom of speech, talked about human rights, etc., we saw what Secretary General of Hasina's party said. He said, Delhi needs America, America needs Delhi, and we have Delhi beside us always. These statements, maybe you may call it political rhetoric, but people did not take that comments lightly, and they are not very happy with that. I think I must make it very clear to you.
So the angst is against India to a large extent. How do you then see the relationship between the two countries going forward now that India is also giving refuge to Sheikh Hasina?
You cannot deny that people, very common people of Bangladesh, they are not very happy with India's attitude towards Bangladesh. They think it is the people's perception. They think that India always considers Bangladesh as their backyard. Especially, India feels comfortable when Hasina is in power. No matter how Hasina grabs the power, be with election, be without election, doesn't matter. And people believes it is the people's perception that Hasina could manage to be in power for last 15 years because of India's strong support. So these are not very good news for India, number one. Number two, border killing, water sharing, these issues are always there. So without resolving these issues, I don't think that India government will be able to improve the relationship or change the people's mind. It's pretty difficult, and I think this is time for India to rethink about its foreign policy. India should not put all its egg in one basket, and India should uh, respect the sentiment of its neighboring country. India should not consider any independent country as its backyard, be that Bangladesh, be that any other country. There should be a mutual respect for each other.
So, going forward, and let me ask you to help decode this: one, two, three, four. What should India do immediately?
The basic thing is you have to respect the sentiment of Bangladeshi people. Number one, they felt that they have been uh, treated as a second class citizen in last many years. So they felt very insulted. And it is the outburst of, deep rooted hatred. I know hatred is a very strong word, but I'm sorry, but I can't help using it. It's a deep rooted hatred, dissatisfaction. Uh, it didn't happen in one day.
So, how do we mend it? And do you see against this backdrop that there is a scope to repair what has been damaged?
I am a hopeful person. I always see the bright side of anything. Of course, I believe that it can be repaired, it can be rebuilt. We we don't forget that in 1971, how India extended its assistance to our common people. So, keeping that in mind, I can assure you that the people of Bangladesh, they are ready to rebuild the relationship. They are ready to start a new journey because as I say, you can never change your neighbor. We can never change our neighbor. So we have to stay together. So let's make it a pleasant stay.
You know, in the past, protests spearheaded by the BNP against the government failed. Doesn't that, in one sense, signal that the BNP lacks the support of the people? And if it comes back to power in the forthcoming elections, it would be actually by default.
You know, BNP is a democratic party. But Awami League has become authoritarian in last 15 years. They used state apparatus against BNP like anything. They killed BNP members, they abducted BNP members, they tortured, they filed cases against them, they suppress them in whatever way they can. So uh, it was very difficult to topple down an autocrat government through democratic process. But this time it was revolution. It was people's uprising. So you can see the consequences. I don't think that BNP lacks people support, because whether people support you or not, you can only measure that, or you can only judge that through a free, fair election. So let the election take place in future. Let all the parties participate, including Awami League. Let's see who wins, who doesn't. Because in last many years, Awami League was very proud of the so-called development that they claim. So if they really did the development, if people are really happy with that, if they believe that they won people's heart, let them participate in the election. The people will decide who's going to be in power next.
While on development, I have 2 points. One, would you credit Sheikh Hasina for the development that Bangladesh has witnessed? And two, would the forthcoming elections then be development versus democracy?
You know, the development she's claiming is nothing but a bubble. Because development doesn't mean building some bridges or building some flyovers or building some, roads and highways. Development means whether that goes to the bottom of the people. There is disparity, there is corruption, there is price hike, there is reserve crisis. So, what development you're talking about? And the very statistics that the government placed in last couple of years, the statistics has been questioned by the economists of our country. So we don't know the exact picture. What has happened in last 15 years? We don't know that. Let's white paper be published. Let us see what's the actual figure, what's our actual reserve, what is our actual figure of import and export. We don't know anything. We can only see the price hike and the disparity, which is increasing every day.
On my second point, do you then see the forthcoming election to be development versus democracy?
Uh, since I don't agree with the point of development, it's a zero versus democracy. Since it's a zero versus democracy, obviously the democracy will prevail. And the people of subcontinent like India or Bangladesh, we are ready to starve for one day or two, but we don't want a government who will shut our mouth, who won't allow us to give vote freely, fairly, who will not honor the people's right, their human rights. So we are always in favor of democracy.
You know, it started as a protest against job quotas, but soon the movement turned into demanding Sheikh Hasina's resignation. How and why did the focus shift from an issue to a person?
When she thought that she will oppress this demand by using force, when she did not hesitate to shoot at sight, when she did not hesitate to kill our students, by our law enforcing agencies. At that point of time, the whole scenario shifted, and the common people, the citizens of Bangladesh, they thought enough is enough. Now, this is the time to remove Sheikh Hasina, and they, they bet their life for that. I know many people who neither support BNP nor support Awami League, nor they do any other party. They are just, swing voters. They sometimes give vote to BNP, sometimes to Awami League, sometimes to any other party. They come on street. They came on the street and they say that enough is enough. She used gun to our students. She used fire to our students. She did not hesitate. She did not think twice to shoot our students. So enough is enough.
Do you think her statement about Razakars had something to do with this?
Certainly, he is playing with this word in last 15 years. Whoever dissents with her, she calls her Rajakar or him Rajakar. Whoever uh, talks about her corruption, her misdeeds, her, whoever is not with her is a Razakar. So it is very funny. People are not taking this anymore. And this time it is the young students. Razakar are those people who collaborated with Pakistani in 1971. So how can you call a boy or a girl Razakar who is only 20 or 21 years old? Isn't it a mockery with the nation? She's doing this mockery for last many, many years. And she says that she is pro-liberation leader. She uses the word Muktijuthe Chetona, the spirit of liberation, all the time. But she does everything which goes against the spirit of liberation. That is very interesting. She kills our democracy, but in the name of liberation war. She violates human rights, but in the name of liberation war or the spirit of liberation war. She shuts our mouth, takes our freedom of speech, but she calls it, spirit of liberation war. What the hell, man? Stop it.
She didn't call the students Razakar. She said, would the jobs be given to Razakars? So that's not the same thing that you're saying, really.
Oh, really? That is what Hasina demanded. That is what Hasina claimed. But if you think that it means what Hasina claimed, then it's up to you. But I don't think that Hasina did not mean that.
How would you define the BNP's current role? And let me ask you upfront, what is its role in the protests?
You see, the protest took place in last 1 month. It continued for a month. We lost more than 300 people, students and other people. Many are injured. More than a few thousands are injured. Many have lost their eyesight. Cases have been filed against students, parents, teachers, and other members of the society. But BNP is struggling for last 17 years. Starting from Begum Zia, who has been convicted in a false fabricated case, put in jail at the age of 76. Her health condition, as you all know, is not very stable. So, considering, and our acting chairman is in exile. So, considering all this, you can easily, you can easily understand that what kind of repression, what kind of torture BNP had to face in last many years. And very interestingly, Kumkum, I must share it with you. When Hasina fled, all the vice chancellors of different universities, the IGP of our police force, the chief justice of our Supreme Court, they started giving resignation. It clearly shows how politicized how much she politicized all these institutions, which is not a very good sign for a democratic country. It is very alarming.
So, coming back to BNP's role, would you say it is now striking back through this movement?
You see, uh, we are waiting for an interim government headed by Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Let this government take charge, assume responsibilities. Then they will arrange an election where we expect that all the political parties will participate. The election will be a free, fair, inclusive, and a credible one. Let's see uh, which party people choose. It's in the hand of the people. Our constitution says it is the People's Republic of Bangladesh. People, they are the owner of this country. Let them decide who will be in charge of them.
Even on the interim government and the elections, there are two views. One, the students want the interim government headed by Muhammad Yunus to continue for a few years, while the BNP and perhaps some other political parties want elections within a few months, maybe earlier.
The beauty of democracy is dialogue. And the irony of autocracy is using force. Since we believe in democracy, I believe that we will come to a common point through dialogue. So it's a matter of time. I don't think it will be a big issue.
It may not be an issue, but are you looking at the students' demand of the interim government headed by Mr. Yunus to be there for at least a few years till stability returns?
It is too early to make a comment. Let the government form. Let us see how it goes. Let us see how it rebuilds the institutions. Then we can make a comment on that. It is too early.
What do you see as a good solution, as a viable solution? Years or months before elections are called?
Let's see. Time will say.
All right, you're going to be non committal on that. What has been the role of Pakistan backed Jamaat e Islami student wing? Some say it has masterminded this movement.
Some say the Awami League is backed by Raw. Some say the Awami League is backed by India. So if I don't like someone, I can say whatever I like. It is, I don't have any comment on that.
What has been the army's role, and do you see that as good for democracy in Bangladesh?
Whenever the country is in crisis, whenever the country needs, the people needs, the army stands for by the people. So this time is not an exception to that. Hasina, I mean, oh my God, how can I explain that? Hasina brought this country to such a point that there was no other option but army. So that's what has happened.
Some time ago, you said the BNP and Jamaat are two children of the same mother. What is the status of that sibling bond? Is the relationship intact?
It was a program organized by Jamaat, and I was present there. What I believe as a small political worker, I see Jamaat has its own ideology, BNP has its own ideology, so as Awami League, Jatiya Party, and other parties as well. Otherwise, if the ideology is the same, then there one party would have been sufficient for all. But it is not. Their ideology is different, their activity is different, their members are different, but still we can work together. Awami League did its movement in 1996 with Jamaat. The Jamaat was with Awami League from 1994 to 1996. At that time, Jamaat was very much pro-liberation. Jamaat was very much progressive, right, Kumkum? So Jamaat is with you. He's your friend. He's progressive. He's secular. He's pro-liberation. And when Jamaat is not with you, he is anti-liberation. He is not progressive. He's communal stuff, etc., etc., etc. No, people don't accept that narrative anymore.
Yes, but my question is that relationship intact? And what is the status of that sibling bond?
The beauty of Hasina's 15-year tyranny is that from extreme left to extreme right all come under one umbrella. That is, remove Hasina for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the people. Install democracy as soon as possible. Ensure freedom of speech. Ensure human rights. So, this is the umbrella under which from extreme left to extreme right stands.
So the status of that relationship is intact and going strong?
I'm repeating my answer again. From extreme left to extreme right are now under the same umbrella.
You know, you spoke about building a new Bangladesh. Yet, there is a fear that this could mean the return of hardliners.
Hardliners? No, 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 of course not. By using the word rebuilding Bangladesh, what I meant is we will uphold democracy. We will ensure people's voting right. There will be freedom of speech. People won't think twice before they say something or write something. People won't think twice while they're using Facebook. They can express their mind. They can express whatever they think. Be that goes in favor of the government or against the government, they don't have to think twice. We, by rebuilding Bangladesh, I mean that there will be a free judiciary and independent judiciary. Uh, there will be non-partisan members everywhere in our administration. Uh, it's as per our constitution, we will make a new Bangladesh. That's what I say.
At another level, do you justify protesters defiling Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's statue? Don't you think this has gone too far?
I am blaming Hasina for that. She used her father, she used our liberation war, she used the so called spirit of liberation war in every now and then, every here and there, where she needs it, where she does not. She tried to take the fullest advantage of her father. She tried to take the fullest advantage of 15th August 1975. She tried to take the fullest advantage of 21st August 2004. People doesn't like this. Enough is enough. She squeezed the lemon too much.
What about the rage against Sheikh Hasina to the extent that even her inner wear was being shown around? As a woman and a politician, would you condemn this and say this far and no further?
Of course, I condemn this. But at the same time, I cannot forget that how the members of a party using the artificial intelligence uh, photoshopped my photos, made videos of me, and spread it in the social media. So, what goes around comes around.
What do you make of Sheikh Hasina's son saying that Sheikh Hasina will not make a political comeback?
I find it really interesting. Interesting because who's going to allow her to come in politics? People of Bangladesh will not. Maybe she can join in any party in India and do politics there, not in Bangladesh.
What is your message to the Hindus and the minorities who are being targeted and feeling insecure by the minute?
I condemn that like anything. My message to them is you have every right as a citizen that I enjoy, you also have the same right as a citizen. Secondly, if you, uh, you know, feel any threat or if you think that you are not protected or you're not safe, please contact us as soon as you can. Already, some of them contacted me. I tried my level best to help them out, and they say, "Thank you, we are now safe." So, I'm from my level, I'm trying my best, and I truly believe that my other party colleagues, they are also doing the same.
Do you think China and ISI have a hand in fueling trouble, including funding this movement? And what about the US, the white man offer who Hasina has been referring to?
I don't have any view on this. I think, in due course of time, everything will be revealed. But what I believe that her removal is it's the outcome of the revolution of the common people. Neither uh, China nor Pakistan nor America has to do anything with that.
And finally, what about stability? The why, how, and when? What is the writing on the wall? And what would be the future roadmap of Bangladesh?
You know, so far stability is concerned, I think Bangladesh is in the right track. The incidents that took place immediately after she fled has come to an end, and the interim government will be formed very soon. And after they assume the responsibility, the scenario will be changed. The law and order situation and other stuff will be in order. So it's a matter of time. Just give us some time. We will make it better for sure. Which will be an inclusive society. There will be no dividation as we have seen in last 15 years. Hasina divided us in the name of liberation, in the name of Rajakar, in the name of Shadinatar Pokko Bipokko. I think our new Bangladesh will be an inclusive one.
How soon can and should elections take place in Bangladesh?
As soon as possible. And being a political activist, I always believe that free, fair, and inclusive election is the solution of all problems. If you have the election process, you can remove that government in every 5 years. And by this way, the country goes forward. I can always mention the India's election. This time I was following it very minutely. And I saw how Congress came up with so many seats and how, the whole thing, the whole game changed. So it's a big inspiration. It's a big inspiration for all of us.
Rumeen Farhana, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And thank you for letting me exceed the promised 30 minutes.
You're always welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.